Joining us now, we welcome actress and Golden Globe nominee Susan Anton, the host of a new talk show called Untitled Chat, which will air on RetroTV. Welcome. Thank you, Susan. Good to have you. And I got to begin by having you explain what RetroTV is and how you came to host it.
Well, Untitled Chat on RetroTV came to me as all the really great things in my life has come. They've come unexpectedly. I was literally sitting on the couch with my husband watching a movie or whatever. And I looked at my phone and I saw that my agent had reached out to me and said, you have an offer to host this nostalgia show where they're going to reunite iconic casts from film, television, and the recording industry. And they want you to host it. I said, I would absolutely love to do that. And we've done 8 episodes. We shot them all at the famous Hollywood Museum, which is the old Max Factor building there in Hollywood. And we just put together some of the most iconic, actors and casts that were part of my life, and I think a part of yours and a lot of your viewers.
And the premise here, I think, twofold: bringing us back, being nostalgic, also combining and I saying hello to casts or cast members saying hello to each other. And I take it some of them haven't seen each other in a while. It's
true. They hadn't seen each other. It's funny because some of them like get together every week and they just never stopped, hanging out. And then others hadn't seen each other for a few years and they were so thrilled to catch up. And it was like no time had passed between them, because when you share that kind of historical place in our cultural history, like the cast of Knots Landing or Love Boat or Happy Days. I mean, these people were in our living rooms every night for years and years, and still are, in reruns like Leave It to Beaver. I don't think Leave It to Beaver's ever been off television.
Correct.
So being able to reunite Jerry Mathers and Tony Dow and Stephen Talbot, who played Gilbert, being able to bring these personalities together and hear their stories and to see the joy they had in seeing one another again was really an extra gift.
We're going to talk about some of the episodes, but first, what intrigued you about becoming a host? You hadn't done that before.
It's funny because I haven't, but in a funny way, I feel like I've always done it. Like I've been preparing for it my whole life. I've been on a million talk shows, but also being a performer of live performance. I've been singing on stages since I was 17, and I've done a lot of Broadway, live production. And I think that prepares you for being present to the moment. As you know, as an interviewer, you need to be listening. It's great to have a roadmap and your questions prepared, but then you have to be available to hear what surprises might, pop up, that you can go off on another direction and discover something that nobody's ever heard before.
And that brings us to the question. You are absolutely correct. I can say a gazillion. You've been a guest on so many talk shows throughout the years, and now you're hosting. What's the difference? And I do talk about this on occasion. What's the difference from your perspective in being a good host versus a good guest?
I think that as a guest, I was always aware that it was my my responsibility to be vivacious, to have stories, to carry the conversation and not just give, one syllable answers like yes, no, yes. So you wanted to expound on that. As a host, I find that you want to ask the question and then you want to be quiet and you want to listen and let your guest shine. Let them come forward with revelations or memories and stories. And, it's their spotlight. It's not mine.
You began with Leave It to Beaver, Tony Dow, Jerry Mathers. As they came together with you, how did you find them after all these years? What are they like?
Oh my gosh. It's obviously we're all older, so we look a little different. But the essence of them and the essence of their interaction of Theodore, of the Beav and Wally, it's still there. There's a rapport that exists between them, as does the cast of Happy Days and Love Boat. That's like a traveling comedy show. You get that group together, they know how to pick up where one sentence stops, another one begins, and how to tell the stories. They're so closely related to one another, tied in. And then like the Pointer Sisters, of course, they're family. So, and two of their sisters are no longer with us. And so to hear their stories was much more poignant and bittersweet. Because we were at the Hollywood Museum sitting in front of this incredible display of all the Pointer Sisters costumes through their history of their career and Bob Mackey's wonderful designs. So that had a whole other kind of nostalgic twist to it.
There were on occasion, as you say, some of them had their act down because they've either been on the road with each other over the years, but were there those that really hadn't seen each other and they came together on Idle Chat?
Yeah, you know, I would say Angela Cartwright and Marta Christensen from Lost in Space. I don't think they see each other as much. Their lives have gone in kind of different directions. Angela's an artist now. She paints and designs jewelry and clothing and writes books. And Marta is still, you know, professionally acting and very busy. So the two of them was like, they were just so busy chatting in between the commercial breaks. It was like, wait, save that for the show. Because they're like, and how does so-and-so, and June Lockhart is still around. They're like, she is. They're like, when did you last see June? And, you know, so they were really cute to kind of see them like, well, where have you been? Let's go have a drink and have some dinner.
And by the way, June Lockhart, last time I saw her, which is several years ago, she said to me, I am a news junkie. She really is. She loves news talk and all that. I hope you get the chance if she's able to.
I hope so.
That would
I hope so. You know, we had Marion Ross on from Happy Days. I think Marion is 90. I don't know if she's 93 or something, or late 80s, but she's like a little rock star, you know, and she's got a twinkle in her eye and she's mischievous and fun. And she and Henry Winkler are so flirtatious and sweet with one another. It's really cute. Mrs. C and the boys. We had Anson Williams, Don Most, and Henry Winkler and Mrs. C. It was really fun.
And it's like they don't miss a beat, right? They go right back to not just the character, but to their old ways of being with each other.
Yeah, they do. It was fun hearing how Anson Williams and Don Most developed the relationship between Patsy and Ralph Malph. You know, it actually ended up because of their off-camera relationship that Gary Marshall picked up on that, and he said, put that on camera. That's what we want. We want that. And so they literally, it's almost like where the characters end and begin, there's no delineation, you know, when you get them in the same room.
You know the shows, you watch the shows, and we watch them over and over. What is it about this nostalgia thing? As the years move on, we're into it more. What is it about us that long for this?
Well, for me, it's so many levels. I mean, obviously it's a part of, you know, my life. I've either worked with these people or watched these people, or, you know, we've come up together. But also it takes me back to a simpler time when there were 3 networks, maybe a few more, but now we have so many, you can't even begin to know what all is going on, and you keep hearing about all these incredible things that are out there, and it's like, where is that? How do I find it? You know, back in the day we had 3 or 4 channels, and a show would be on, you had to show up on like Tuesday night at 8 o'clock if you wanted to watch a certain show, because it wasn't just available to you all the time. So I think it was a family event that more families gathered around their favorite shows, and you would, you know, make sure you had your dinner, and then you would sit down and you would watch, you know, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley and The Love Boat or whatever. You'd have this whole night planned. Your
first group of shows, what of all the cast members that were on, anything jump out at you that surprised you that you didn't know?
Oh, wow. What a good question. Well, yes, you know, Dee Wallace, we have the cast from E.T. Extraterrestrial, the movie, and Dee Wallace told the most incredible story, because that film had such profound impact, whatever age you were. And if you watch it again today, it will still impact you. Steven Spielberg, so brilliant to tell this story through the eyes of a child. So the story that Dee shared that was really unexpected and very emotional was Dee had met a mother that had, you know, she met Dee at an autograph show or something. When this mother's child was a little girl, she was in the backseat of the car. They had gone to see the movie E.T. So this little girl who had never really talked is sitting in the backseat of the car, and she started reciting all of the lines from E.T. And the mother said that that was the first time she really heard her daughter's voice. And so Dee is sharing this story that is real. And you start to realize that, you know, you think you're just making a movie or a TV series. You're touching the lives of people in ways that you'll never even know.
Which is really something.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back for a little bit of nostalgia with you. You've touched the lives of many people over the years.
Thank you.
Where'd you grow up first?
I grew up in a little town in Southern California called Yucaipa.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, on the way to Palm Springs, right?
You're local. Okay.
I'm a local. And then up about just about, I don't know, 5,000 feet elevation above Yucaipa is a smaller area called Oak Glen. And so I was raised there on an apple ranch that my great-great-grandfather pioneered. My mom's dad also worked it. And I worked it. My entire family worked the apple ranch. I went to a one-room schoolhouse until I was in the third grade, I think, fourth grade. And then I took the big bus down to Yucaipa to go to school. So I'm a native California kid from a ranch background and just a country girl.
Did you know you wanted to be in the entertainment business as a kid?
Not when I was little. I had a fantasy because I'm one of 5 kids and my mom and dad always had more than one job to make ends meet. And so being the oldest girl, I was the babysitter. And like all good babysitters, I watched a lot of television. And I fell in, there was a show called The $1 Million Movie, and they would show this.
Channel 9, yeah.
Right, exactly. And they'd show this same movie all week
over and over.
And all day on Saturday, all day on Saturday. So I fell in love with Young at Heart, with Frank Sinatra and Doris Day and Gig Young. And I watched that movie over and over and over. And I thought, I want to do that someday. I want to sing. I want to work with Frank Sinatra. And I ended up being able to do both.
And you did all of that. Wait, you're getting ahead of me. Because it was your first entry into the business, modeling, acting, which?
I actually was beauty pageants. I was Miss California, and then I was second runner-up to Miss America. And I entered on a dare from my high school boyfriend. And I wanted to do it because I had this secret belief that I could sing. And so there was a talent portion. So I decided to enter because I was very shy. I said, I'm going to enter and I'm going to sing. And lo and behold, I won Miss Redlands, and then I won Miss California. And then by the time I went to Atlantic City and came in second runner-up, I realized that I really wanted to pursue this. I didn't know how, but I knew that this was the industry that I wanted to be a part of.
And part of that came in modeling. Did you love that?
Well, you know, I did more commercials than I did modeling.
You did modeling. You did.
Yeah, I was doing commercials was great fun. When you're just starting out, they're like these little tiny movies. And Muriel Cigars, which we don't advertise tobacco anymore on television, but Muriel Cigars was a very big deal. And
yes, it was.
On the NFL pregame show with Jimmy the Greek and Phyllis George, God bless her, and Brett Musburger and Irv Cross. And so my commercials would play on the NFL, which is great because I love the NFL. I'm excited the season is starting. So commercials were very, very good to me. And I did a lot of them. And it's because of the commercials and that I then was invited by, you know, Johnny Carson and Merv Griffin and Dinah Shore and all
Mike Douglas.
Mike Douglas, all of those wonderful people that had these talk shows. So I would go on these talk shows, and that's where Fred Silverman discovered me and signed me to a deal at ABC. And then when he went to NBC, I went over to NBC. So those commercials really opened the doors for me.
And you mentioned Sinatra. That had to be, thrill at the time. Elaborate. How did that occur?
Well, you know, it came about because it was 1984 and the Olympic Games were going to be at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, and AT&T was sponsoring the torch coming across America. And they decided to have a concert series to support it. And so they asked me and decathlon champion Bob Mathias to be the MCs and the constant hosts of the event. And then the acts would interchange. It'd be George Burns, and then it'd be Frank Sinatra, and then it would be the group America. And we had David Brenner and Buddy Rich, and it's just an incredible group of people. And we traveled together for 3 months. And so I got to meet Sinatra and watch him work every night, and subsequently became, I wouldn't say good friends, but we became friendly. And so I played in his golf tournament a lot. and was invited by him to, sing at the event as well, which was, I got to sing to Frank Sinatra, which was kind of a real pinch me moment, given that when I was a little girl sitting on the carpet at home watching Young at Heart, who would have thunk one day I'd be standing on a stage and actually singing to Old Blue Eyes.
And you did a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. Las Vegas became a place for you. How many shows did you do there?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know how many.
Thousands.
I had the privilege of working with just about everybody you can imagine. Sammy Davis Jr., Frank, Tom Jones.
Dean Martin.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't get to work with Dean. I met him, but I didn't get to work with him. But Paul Anka and George Burns and golly, I can't even remember all of them. But also, I was a member of the Radio City Spectacular.
Right.
And we toured 72 cities before the Flamingo Hotel bought that show. And then when they bought that show, my husband and I decided to come to Las Vegas and do 1 year. And I ended up doing it 7 years, 5,000 performances.
5,000. I knew there were thousands. I didn't know it was 5,000.
It's a lot. It was a lot. And, and then we ultimately built a production studio here in Las Vegas and decided to settle down. And my husband's been a very successful director and producer, and I've done a lot of award-winning projects out here that I've been able to produce along the way too. So I get to have a little fun behind the camera.
So what is it like night after night doing shows in Las Vegas? What does that do to the soul? What does that do to the body?
It challenges you. It challenges you. And it's really important that you have a good straight up conversation with yourself to remind yourself that even though you've done this many times, obviously the paying audience, this is the first time for many of them that maybe, or if they're back as a fan, then even more important is to be able to realize that for them, this is a new experience. They've never seen it or heard it. I've done Broadway shows for a year, and you realize that every night, the thing about live performance, it's like playing a round of golf. You can play the same golf course every single day, and you're going to have a different experience every single day. Someday you're going to be great. Other days you're just never going to be able to hit it anywhere near the green. And it's the same thing with live performance. And so you keep it fresh that way. And
how has Vegas changed? I mean, the hotels are spectacular. The restaurants now are so varied and spectacular. But give me your take on how this city has changed.
Well, I don't know if it's changed tremendously, as you just said. But one thing, as being a resident and living here, that I discovered when we had the terrible shootings at Mandalay Bay, and then when we just, COVID, that this city has so much heart that when we are, because for Las Vegas to shut down for months and months and months, so many people were in desperate need of, food and housing and a lot of things that ultimately, because suddenly the biggest industry here was shut down. But what people did was they came to one another's rescue, and all of the hotels on the Strip immediately realized what they had to do, and they donated all of their food to the food shelters. And so like when the shootings happened at Mandalay Bay, you went to go donate blood and people were standing in line for hours and hours. So the thing about Las Vegas, underneath all that glitz and all that excitement and incredible amenities, are people that live here and create their lives here. And it's a very soulful, still small city with all of its grandness. It's a small town. It's a small little town.
That, which is that's quaint. That's nice. You like hearing about that. And the General Motors is the hotels, the auto portion. Right. Here, it's the production houses, but there it really is the hotels. Let me ask you this before we close out. What haven't you done that you'd like to do?
Oh my, oh golly, that's a really good question. I think I would love to be a part of an ensemble cast on a regular television show where I get to play somebody that's like a judge or a grandmother or some interesting quirky character on like a Ryan Murphy show or something, where people wouldn't necessarily imagine that I could be the one that's stalking people and locking them up or something. Something that's out of
drama, comedy. Does it matter?
More, I think drama would be more fun. Comedy is way too hard. Comedy is hard.
People don't understand that. Comedy is difficult, isn't it?
It really is. And listen, I was really lucky to know and live with Dudley Moore, who was brilliant, with comedy as an actor and terribly funny. And I've known a lot of really funny people in my life, and it is hard. It looks easy, I
interviewed him when Arthur came out, and you're right. But one thing you had on stage, you have it in the business, timing. Did you have it instinctively, or did you?
I think that as a musician, and I'll call myself that, I think that I've always had an innate sense of timing, which probably does play into my acting, because it clearly plays into music. I just naturally had an instinct to know when where the backbeat was and when to lay back and when to jump on the beat, and I've just always had a good ear that way. So I think there again, it's about the listening. When I get nervous, my husband always gives me a really good note. He says, just listen.
That's right.
Listen to the music. And then once you find that wave, you just ride it.
By the way, before we go, because of all the stars you mentioned you've worked with, you've been with, Cannonball Run 2. What a compilation. Were you amazed at everybody, some of the ones you mentioned?
That's such a tip of the hat to Burt Reynolds.
Yes.
Burt Reynolds, he was just this party. He was, he had that giggle, and he wanted everybody to have a great time. And everybody was like showing up to have a party every day for like 2 months. In Arizona, we were shooting the film, and everybody wanted to be a part of it. From Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis, the Rat Pack was reunited, Shirley MacLaine. Everybody showed up just to be, because Frank called and said, hey, you want to come? And we're like, yeah, Frank, we want to come. And yeah, Burt, we want to come. Because, Burt was just a very gracious, very special man, and a wonderful actor that people need to spend a little time looking at the body of his work to go back and remember really what a great actor he was.
Final question. You go into your second season, hopefully. Who do you want to book? Who would you like to? What shows would you like to have on Idle Chat?
This, I've given that a little thought. I think, since I was on the show for a few years, I'd love to get together with the Baywatch group.
That'll have to be a great guest for you.
Right? I haven't seen David. I just actually sent him an email. He's in Poland doing a TV series, and I would love to get together with that gang again. I had a great time. I would also love to get Donnie and Marie together. They're together all the time, but to hear about their show, their variety show, what that was like.
Which one? Which was the second one?
Donnie and Marie.
Donnie and Marie. Yeah. Yeah. And you're thinking of this now. Who else? Give me one more because you got to start.
Well, this one's really out there, and I don't know that these ladies are up for it, but I'd love to get Crystal Carrington and Alexis, Joan Collins and Linda Evans. I'd love to hear from those ladies, and then we could throw in some of the who else was on there? Was it Heather Locklear? And I don't know, but I'd love to get the ladies from. We have the ladies from Knots Landing, and they were amazing. But it would really be incredible to hear from Linda Evans and Joan Collins. I think
that, and they're good examples, and there's got to be a lot more. And you start thinking in your mind, who can you book? You'll really be surprised. Kind of like the radio stations. Remember, the 50s used to be the big deal, and the 60s. Right. All of a sudden, the old 80s. So
it is. It's you realize that you've been around a little while, but it's true. It's like people want to get like Knight Rider together, or Dukes of Hazzard. You start to go back, like, what are the shows that were so iconic? They were, you watched them all the time. Sadly, we can't do Laverne and Shirley, but boy, that would have been a fun one.
That would have been, you bet. Well, you're, as they say, on your way. It's Idle Chat, and so it airs in a couple of spots. It airs.
Yeah, it's on RetroTV. It's on Family Channel. And then it's also, there's an app after it airs. People can go to, I have to look, it's realgoodtv.com, and you can stream it.
And of course, in this business, it's all about distribution. So you're going to keep on distributing. And
yeah. Well, Retro TV, it's so great because they reach about 100 million homes. So it's a
here's
good
your
start.
distribution.
It's a good start.
It's great. Looking forward to all the episodes to come. Continued success to you. Look forward to talking with you again. It is Idle Chat with Susan Anton and guests. And I thank you for joining us right here.
Thank you so much. You take care of yourself.